All right, we are on 11-3, circles and circumference. What I want you to do is go ahead and hit pause and copy all of this down. So go ahead and take a few minutes to do that. All right. One thing that you need to understand is that the circumference is the distance around a circle. Okay, it's like the perimeter of a circle. Chord is any segment with both endpoints on the circle. So this is the chord, okay, that goes from one side of the circle to the other, that doesn't necessarily pass through the center. Okay, chords we're really not going to work with today, but it is something I wanted you to know about, and I think you've probably talked about it in the past. The center point is obviously the middle, the center. The two that we're going to be mainly concerned with today is the diameter. Diameter is the distance across a circle through its center, and that's the important part that you understand. It has to go through the center part, okay? And it goes from one side to the other, all the way across. That is the diameter. It tells you how big the actual circle is, okay? Bigger the diameter, the larger the circle. Smaller the diameter, the smaller the circle. Radius is the distance from the center to any point on a circle. So it's from the center to the outside edge, no matter where it is. Now the relationship between my radius and my diameter is that it takes 2 radius to make 1 diameter. So right here, when we're looking at the diameter, it actually is made up by 2 radius. Here's the first one, here's the second one. Okay? So in other words, if you are given the diameter and you needed the radius, you would divide it by 2 to get the radius. Okay? Now, if you have the radius is the only thing given to you and you need the diameter, then you would multiply it by 2. You would double it to get the diameter. Okay? So we'll talk further and be talking a lot about that here in the next week or so, dealing with circumference, which is today, and we'll talk about the formula that we use for that. And then we'll also be talking about area of the circle, and we'll need radius for that. Tomorrow we're going to talk about in class discovering pi and its relationship to the circumference of a circle. So we're going to do the activity here tomorrow. So you'll get to see that. We'll spend time with it tomorrow. Well, the formula, there's actually 2 possibilities. One is pi times the diameter, or if you're given the radius, then you would use this formula, 2 times pi times the radius. Remember again, 3.14 is what you're going to use for pi. Okay, that's what you're going to use for this value right here. Okay, so there is a pi button on your calculator. Can you use that? Yes, you can. However, if you do, you're going to get a different answer. So I'm going to request from everyone to use the 3.14 so that we're all on the same page, because not everyone has the pi button on their calculator. So you're always going to use 3.14 so that we can compare answers. It just makes it a little easier. So to solve this, the question is, do we have the diameter? Did they give us the diameter for this problem? And in this case, they did. So we're going to use this formula, which is simply taking pi times diameter. And yes, you need to rewrite that. And then you're going to plug in the actual values. So 3.14 times the diameter, which is 9. And now you can simply plug 3.14 times 9 into your calculator, and you'll see that you get 28 and 26 hundredths, and that would be centimeters. Okay, it is not dealing with area, so it is just plain centimeters. Now, they do say to round to the nearest tenths. So if we're rounding to the tenths, that's this 2. So it's going to be 28 and 3/10 of a centimeter, because the 6 is a 5 or larger, rounding that to a 3. What I want you to do is go ahead and solve this problem. Remember, pay attention to whether they give you the diameter or the radius to know which formula to use. So go ahead and hit pause and solve this. All right, using our formula, again, they gave us the radius, so that's going to be 2 pi r. Okay, so we're going to plug these in. 2 times 3 14/100 times my radius, because that's what they gave us, which is 6. Okay, so now we can just literally plug all of these in, or you can work through this and you can say 3.14 times 12 because of 6 times 2. You could do that. You could say 3.14 times 2, which most of you can probably do that in your head and get 6.28 times 6. There's a variety of ways of solving this, or you can literally plug in your calculator. 2 times 3.14 times the 6. All of that's going to give you the same answer. So we end up with 37 68/100, and again that is feet. Says to round it to the nearest tenths. So 37, and this is an 8, rounding this up to a 7 feet. That is your answer to this problem. Okay, so go ahead, check your answer. If you had something different, take note of that, and we'll discuss it further tomorrow. Now, this case, they didn't give you a circle. They just gave you, telling you if they gave you the radius, R for radius, or a D for diameter. So go ahead and solve this problem accordingly. All right, so we're going to use, since they gave us the radius, 2 pi r, and we're going to simply take 2 times my 3.14 times my radius, which is 12, and then we'll plug that into the calculator. 2 times 3.14 times 12, which gives me 75 36/100. And it is millimeters. And then once again, we need to round, and 75, and it would be then 4/10 of a millimeter. That is circumference. So if you have any further questions, again, please take note of that, and we'll discuss it further tomorrow. And remember, we will be doing a small activity discovering pi and understanding the value of 3 14/100 and how they actually come up with that number, because there is some great logic behind that number. Have a great evening.